that he challenged the Ghana's first post-independent president in the 1960 by contesting Dr. Nkrumah. The Speaker, just for emphasis, it was JB and his colleagues who actually contributed to bring Nkrumah to Ghana to be the secretary to the UGCC. Although he was unsuccessful in that election, his courage alone introduced the need for our country to have a multi-party democracy. We cannot have a one-man state, a one-party state. When someone has an idea for a country's governance, it doesn't take a day for same to come into fruition. With those values that he espoused, Mr. Speaker, it took time. He himself did not live to celebrate these, to see. But over time, after the first coup, we went into a second republic, another coup went to a third republic, another coup for over 11 years, and then we gave birth to the fourth republic. And it is instructive that those who were involved in the PNDC regime were the very people who gave birth to the fourth republic. Meaning that forces of democracy worked around the clock to ensure that they appreciated the need to have democracy, and they submitted themselves to multi-party democracy. All these took foundation from the writings of Dr. J.B. Danquah. Mr. Speaker, beyond politics, he was a prolific scholar whose research into our cultural heritage gave prominence to the name Ghana, as I've already said. However, unfortunately, in spite of all the sacrifices he made, political disagreement eventually led to his incarceration. And as a young politician, when a time came for me to construct a runabout in Efutu, I read a bit of the history, and I even discovered that for many years, J.B. Danquah was the Efutu State's lawyer. He was a lawyer for the Efutu State. And also, I discovered that Omahini of Efutu, my great-grand-uncle, Nenyi Gate, had actually contributed to the independence of the country through his support to Kwame Nkrumah. Mr. Speaker, all those misunderstandings, the Kwame Nkrumah, J.B. Danquah political rifts, led to the Efutu lands becoming vested lands. Because after the 1950 Supreme Court of Gold Coast ruling, J.B. Danquah remained the lawyer for Efutu, even when Nkrumah set up a commission of inquiry to look into the matter even after the Supreme Court ruling. J.B. Danquah insisted being the lawyer for the Efutu State. And when the final findings gave the lands to Efutu, Nkrumah then said, to avoid conflict, through the then Attorney General, Justice Oforiatta, there was that enactment to say that the chiefs can sell their land, but with the consent of the state. Mr. Speaker, I am saying that looking at this history, by the grace of God, I was able to set up this reconciliation runabout. If you go to Winneba, you will see two gentlemen shaking hands. One, it's J.B. Danquah and Kwame Nkrumah. The import of this was to say no more to political intolerance. Because these were two friends, these were two national heroes, but because of political differences, one had to die a painful death in Nsawam prisons. So Symbolically, Efutu took up. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, the noise is coming from those who are still waiting for their appointment. Those who have been nominated are gently listening, and those behind who are yet to be considered are making noise. They don't want to learn. And they are backbenchers and newcomers. They are supposed to learn. This is history. Mr. Speaker, we have mounted these statues, JB and Nkrumah, to symbolize true reconciliation, that no matter the disagreement with your political opponent, don't wish death for him. And that is a true symbol of multi-party democracy. And what we did this morning, after our heated exchanges of Thursday and Friday, is what democracy represents. Find peace around the table. Don't go to the extreme. Let us manage our democracy. So, Mr. Speaker, JB Dankwa has bequeathed to this nation true values that we shall forever cherish. Let us continue as a people to honor his memory through our conduct. Even if we have different political ideologies, we should remember him for the great works he did for our nation. This man preached press freedom and personal liberties. He set up newspapers. He was writing. He exposed the country to all these values that today we are celebrating and we are taking for granted. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Atachia was the one who was doing this annual ritual. I am happy that Dr. Kingsley Agyemang has taken over. It's time for him to also make his name in this hallowed chamber. I wish Doc many accomplishments in this chamber. He has demonstrated his determination to take up a key role in this house, and I wish him well even in this great enterprise of democracy. Mr. Speaker, without more, I shall yield. I can see the respected majority leader is more than anxious to have his bite, however superfluous it may be. He's my Mr. Speaker, this is a very respected senior colleague. He's made his name at ECOWAS Parliament, and he's gone through the rudiments of politics to assume this black chair. I would always accord him that respect. That is why I said, however superfluous it may be, he must have a bite, because we are celebrating a national hero. Mr. Speaker, I yield the space to him. Without more, thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
But, Leader, I think you also be very brief.
Of law is what we've enshrined in our laws. A moment ago, the leader of government business took us through the rule of law when he was commenting on JB Dankwa and his contribution to national history. So, Mr. Speaker, we are against his chair of this aura and the activities in the country. We think, and we hold this whole view firmly, their actions are taking this country back. They must allow due process to take place in our country. As a country, we have used institutions to deal with situations. That is why, apart from the mainstream police service, we enacted a law to establish Yoko. Not only that, we enacted a law to establish Financial Crime Office Center. That is why we set up the Office of the Special Prosecutor. That is why we have the NIB. That is why today you have various divisions at the police service with specialization in different crimes. So, Mr. Speaker, we don't have to appear too populist by encouraging some of these unconstitutional interventions. He proudly said he's a member of that. Mr. Speaker, let me also state he's a chair and a member. Mr. Speaker, I want to state for the records, although some members of this committee have been denying it, we've heard businessmen complaining that this so-called ORA has been going to their houses and their office premises with video cameras, photographs, taking pictures. They have been using drones. Mr. Speaker, I here, as a leader of my side, I have been a victim of it, yet they say that they don't know. Mr. Speaker, the former defense minister, last week, he called upon me, the chief whip, and the clerk to parliament. They chased his vehicle in the name of ORA. Let's be very clear. Certain things that are happening in this country. Can I finish? Honorable colleagues, please, you need to listen. You need to listen. Mr. Speaker, they chased his vehicle all the way to this Parliament House. And when we made inquiries, apparently it was not coming from national security. And those in charge said that they were sent by ORA. Mr. Speaker, national security said these were not their men, but they were using national security vehicle, and when they were interrogated further, they said that they are coming from ORA. Mr. Speaker, we need to be careful which destination we want to drive the vehicle called Ghana to. I am happy that the oral committee is denying. That should tell you that when you set up such a populist body, people take advantage. Two populists, such a populist committee, people take advantage. Scared of what? People take advantage to settle scores. Mr. Speaker, we do not have to wish this for the country. Now,
and you like this? And you like this?
Mr. Speaker, the nominee.
And you like it?
The nominee,
Honorable Collins, he is seconding the motion, so just let's tolerate. Honorable Collins, I know why I'm tolerating.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Collins Dauda is a very experienced member of this House. He is recounting his own experience, but he knows. He calls me Miwafase. Mr. Speaker, he knows that some of us who were in government never supported a thing like this. He knows that for a fact. And Mr. Speaker, senior members of this House know that there are some members of this House who have the conscience of the society we live in and have never supported any actions detrimental to them when they were in opposition. They know. This is not the time to mention names, but they know. Mr. Speaker, if it was bad yesterday, it remains bad today and it will be bad tomorrow. Mr. Speaker, the nominee went further. Mr. Speaker, the nominee went further without being asked, produced my own documents on my land. He said that in the name of Ora, they had conducted a search. The good news is that in their attempt to find out whether my land in Winneba belonged to the state, they came to a conclusion that it is not a state land. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I had become aware that somebody had petitioned Ora and had said that the police college in Winneba. Mr. Speaker, my members, my colleagues who are shouting, they should know that this became a subject matter of our proceedings. So I am within the ambit of relevance. So please pay attention. Somebody had filed a petition to Ora claiming that my land in Winneba is part of state land, and the chair of Ora, in coming to his vetting, carried a search report, and in that search report, at least he got to know that where my building is in Winneba is not state land and I've not looted. Mr. Speaker, again, it is important for him as chair and all the members of this Ora to know that, Mr. Speaker, the entire Winneba lands are affected by vested asset through an executive instrument. Mr. Speaker, going further, the nominee, Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, if you look at page 30 of the 103 report, I quote, the nominee promised to furnish the committee with the following upon request by the ranking member with the leave of the chairman. There's a list of documents that he promised to furnish us. The nominee has been able to furnish the committee with a documentation only on the Savvy and Volta Clenham companies as at the time of finalizing this report. We just need to put on record that there were 9 documents that he promised to furnish us on his own volition. Mr. Speaker, this we have not received. Mr. Speaker, the only 2 they brought, they are still here. The 2 they brought, his company registration, I have it here. Those 2 company registration documents, these are the only 2 that they brought. No, I have captured. Pay attention. I said no, nominee has been able to furnish the document with only on Savvy and Volta Clenham companies. These are the only 2 we have received. Mr. Speaker, we believe that he who comes to equity must do equity. Let the record reflect that this side is not pursuing a member of this House. But, Mr. Speaker, the colleague himself publicly says that he is a public-spirited Ghanaian, and he's on record of always pursuing people and finding out their sources of income, especially the political class. Mr. Speaker, if you are holding people's feet to the fire, Mr. Speaker, I will make this point. If you are holding people's feet to the fire, demanding accountability and transparency, it means that you yourself must demonstrate that when subjected to it, you will...
Honourable member, please.
Mr. Speaker, our colleague Honorable Ablakwa has been taking people on in the public space. He questions people's birth certificates. He questions people's sources of income. He questions people's passports, people's travel. Mr. Speaker, he questions them. If today he lives at airports and provides it on his CV that he lives at the airport and claims that he's a tenant for 8 years, it only stands to reason that he makes available all documents related to the tenancy. We are not pursuing this person. Ablakwa knows that I, Kwame Neye, will be the last to stand against his political progress. Never. Yes, Mr. Speaker, I will never. Those who know me and know me well know me and what I stand for. I am a politician like you. I will not be the one to be pursuing you. I will not. But to the extent that you do not spare your colleagues, Mr. Speaker, especially during the vetting, I found it very strange that Mr. Ablakwa apparently took the car loan of 2021 because he's on record, both on social media and traditional media, questioning the car loan that MPs take. And he's used the word, it was unconscionable. When I asked the question, he said that 2013, he took the car loan, he used it to buy a Land Cruiser. In the second in the second term, that was 2017, he used that one to buy 2 saloon cars, and then the third one he used that to buy a combine harvester. Mr. Speaker, you and I know that there is no way the clerk to Parliament, upon receiving a letter that a member wants to use his car loan to buy a combine harvester, clerk will not issue a check to a vendor who is selling a combine harvester to a member of Parliament. It is not true, and it can't be possible. He has been pursuing people. He is questioning the integrity of members of Parliament, that it's unconscionable to access car loan. Yet, on all the 3 terms he's been a member of Parliament, he has relied on these facilities. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to say it is hypocritical, but it is also for all of us as a house to realize that we must be measured in the way we pursue each other and one another and others. Today, he is now going into government. I know Mr. Ablakwa as a true gentleman in terms of his dressing. He does, yes, Mr. Speaker, he dresses well. He wears quality things. He wears quality shoe, quality suit, quality tie. He dresses well, and I respect him for that, and he knows. If tomorrow somebody says, colleagues, this is a serious matter. If tomorrow, by mere fact that he's a gentleman, he dresses well, somebody now comes to ask you, how much did you buy your suit? This designer shoe, how much did it cost you? Because, Mr. Speaker, for 8 years, the member says that all he has is his MP salary of 15,000. He says that all he does is his MP work. He has not done other business because the Savvy company, he folded that company up way back in 2015. Mr. Speaker, I am saying this because our colleague has taken a lot of public officers to the cleaners. And this is not personal. This is not personal. He's taken a lot of us to the cleaners. And if you create the impression that you are very holy and very righteous and you are a crusader, yet you don't want to be scrutinized, then there's a problem. So, Mr. Speaker, as a matter of principle, we are opposed to him because of the inconsistencies and the lack of clarity. Mr. Speaker, for the other colleagues, for the other 9 that within 1 hour, within 1 hour, they took advantage of our absence to pass all of them. All we can say is that majority, go and sin no more. Go and sin no more. The congratulations bye-bye group. Mr. Speaker, there is a group of 9. Congratulations bye-bye, I wish you well. Mr. Speaker, they even add, bye-bye, take care of yourself. And for them, Mr. Speaker, we will raise a procedural issue at the right time. But we will not stand in their way today because we have no problem with them. We believe that these regional ministers must take office. We can't allow vacuum at the various regional ministries, regional coordinating councils, and even on our colleague Ablakwa, who we are opposed to him. We believe that because that foreign ministry is a very serious, important ministry, an organ of state, we will take a decision on him tonight. And let me, without equivocation, state that we will proceed with the same abstinence. We abstain from his decision. It is solely a majority's call. All the sins of Ablakwa are upon their head. Get me water. I need water. Mr. Speaker, this one, I need proper water. This is not a dry washing, just some small water. Yes, Mr. Speaker, this one, we are washing our hands. We are washing our hands to tell them that every sin at the airport hills, Mr. Speaker, I'm cleaning. Mr. Speaker, and I'm cleaning. I am cleaning my hands to tell them that we are not part of the sins that he has committed. All the airport hill sins are on their head. If tomorrow he and his aura start pursuing you,
Daughter of Medra, sit down. Daughter of Medra, sit down.
It's me.
That's evidence on Sunday Papa Kunipa. Daughter of Medra, sit down. Daughter of Medra, sit down.
It's me.
That's evidence on Sunday Papa Kunipa.
Mr. Speaker, it is 9 p.m. Honorable Governor Kwame Agboja, once upon a time as a chief whip, will not allow government business to be conducted at night. He knows it. Mr. Speaker, the report has just been circulated. They even, Mr. Speaker, I have checked. This report was just put on the system. Members have not had the opportunity to read. Mr. Speaker, we've often been accused of not doing proper diligence. Yes. We are supposed to read the report. The 11th report, Mr. Speaker, all of a sudden they have populated this chamber. Mr. Speaker, with a lot of their backbenchers, with one aim, to come and intimidate the mighty few. Mr. Speaker, this will not allow. Democracy does not mean that you use your supposed super majority to intimidate us. Mr. Speaker, let us go and relax. Come back tomorrow morning, read the report, and come and do the government business. Mr. Speaker, I would not support this idea of overloading members of parliament. Mr. Speaker, our health, the health of the members of parliament must be of great concern to the majority leader. Mr. Speaker, this report cannot be taken today. There was no proud discussion on this particular report. Mr. Speaker, in the list, there must be a suspension of the House for us to go through the report and, if possible, come back. Mr. Speaker, we can't just be on our feet to take this report. The chair of the committee cannot invite this House in terms of Order 1041. The rules are not to be abused. You should sparingly be invoking Order 1041. Mr. Speaker, this morning the Right Honorable Speaker promised the minority that we would get his protection. Mr. Speaker, that promise is applicable to you, mutatis mutandis. It's applicable to you.
But leader.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Leader, it includes your own friend Akando.
Mr. Speaker, I know the previous report included your own friend Sam George. Your own friend Sam George and my former friend Sam George. Mr. Speaker, I know Akando is my respected friend, but I want to plead with him that he should allow us to come tomorrow. Mr. Speaker, if Akando has no problem, but his report has been contaminated. There are some poison fruits around his own edible fruits. That makes it difficult for his fruit to be edible. Mr. Speaker, when a leader is on his feet and his whips are putting pressure on him, what can he do? Arrest my case. The president conveyed these nominees to this House, and we have delayed. So any further delay would cause the president. Mr. Speaker, the president was bringing the names here in tots. He was coming here in bits. These nominees, even the adverts we put out requesting for public memoranda, some were given 2 days, some 3 days. In fact, Mr. Speaker, if you look at the report, the majority side took advantage of our decision to recuse ourselves as a result of Mr. Speaker's communication to railroad all their nominees who were on the corridors. Nominees within an hour. Mr. Speaker, it's only 2 nominees that went through what I call proper vetting. Honorable Kwabena Minta Akando and our respected friend and brother, Sami Okujeto Ablakwa, who is to assume the foreign ministry portfolio. That is if we even complete. Mr. Speaker, he has called for a second vetting. That is student days politics energy is still in him. So he's even calling for second vetting. Mr. Speaker, they took advantage of that situation to push all 9 nominees through. Do you call this vetting? And then you come back to make an application that the president must constitute his cabinet. Mr. Speaker, I am opposed to this application, and if Mr. Speaker is not minded by the good arguments made and still want to grant his application, which in my view is very lame. It's very lame. Mr. Speaker, it's entirely in your hands. We are proceeding in terms of the earlier position taken on Honorable Sam George. I just needed to bring clarity to it for Hansa. That this decision again is the majority caucus decision. The minority is not part of this decision. The entire 88 members of the minority hereby reject the nominee for the Foreign Affairs portfolio, and same should reflect in Hansard. We abstain with our entire 88 in that rejection. The majority should know that even if they are doing their majority, if they would not become for us to cooperate with them, I can tell them that if they do a high count of their majority, they still require a certain threshold by constitution. So they should know the empty seats. They should know the empty seats. Mr. Speaker, you don't need a minority. You need your numbers. You need a threshold. Read the Constitution. You have come in as a backbencher. All you are learning is how to shout. You are not even making it to deputy ministerial. You are there at the backbench. You may not even make it to a good committee. Sit and misbehave. So, Mr. Speaker, leaders have worked tirelessly to get all of us to this far. Some backbenchers who don't know the industry that has gone into where we are should learn from the front bench and not misbehave. Mr. Speaker, so in putting the question, I am suggesting to the chair to be clear in the language, to be used. I thank you.
Honorable members.
The member has raised a constitutional issue. We demand a head count. We demand a head count. We demand a head count confirm whether they had the minimum constitutional threshold. The chairman of the committee invoked a constitutional provision, Article 104, which requires that majority of members present. So even if it is a majority, they need a wanted.
Honorable
Let
members,
us go through the process of a head count.
respectfully, honorable members, respectfully, we are coming at 12 noon